Before I begin, I want to thank Father Sengel and Deacon Steve for covering for me last week, but I'm told I have to begin with a bit of a disclaimer because Deacon Steve mentioned that some of the collection could possibly be going to his son's college fund, and I want to tell you, rest assured, none of it went there. It all went to the church. And he's not here today, so can't defend himself. Anyway, he has written a wonderful article in today's bulletin about this story of the wedding feast of Cana. And in that article, he talks about kind of the little banter that goes back and forth between Mary and Jesus, because they're at this big feast and they run out of wine. And so Mary takes it upon herself to go to Jesus and to tell him, they're out of wine. And Jesus says, well, how does that concern me? It's not my time yet. But Mary's like, oh, he's a good boy. He'll do what is right. And in Deacon Steve's article, he talks about his own life and how he knows he had some of those same banterings back and forth with his own mom, where he was kind of trying to get a rise out of her or trying to assert his own agenda, as it were. And I'm sure I did that as a child as well, and maybe even as an adult. I can't think of anything specific, but unfortunately, I can think of one time when I did it with God. It was a Saturday morning about 3 years ago, and I was living and working in Gillett. And it was one of those weeks that we've all had. It was just crazy. And all of the things that I thought were on my agenda for that week didn't get done because there were just so many other things that entered the week. So many things that I saw as interruptions and forgot that they were actually the true part of ministry. Anyway, so along came Saturday morning and I was feeling stressed. So when I got up that morning, I thought, I don't even have time for prayer this morning, so I'm just going to have a very short conversation with God. And it went something like this. God, this is what I want you to do for me today. I'm going to be busy. I don't want the phone to ring. I don't want anybody to come to the door because I need to catch up. And by the way, I'll talk to you a little bit more tonight. Amen. That was literally my prayer. And so I got into my day, and wouldn't you know, the phone rang constantly for the first couple of hours, and of course I would answer it and meet the need of whoever was on the other end. And then I decided to lock the front door of the office. My car was in the garage, and I thought, if anybody stops by, I'm not here. I can deal with it either at the masses or later on. So I'm in the office, and all of a sudden I hear the front door open. And I thought, I know I locked that door. And this younger woman came in, and so I went over and I said, can I help you? And she said, yes. And as I looked at her, even though she had a lot of makeup on her face, you could still see that she had a large black eye and some abrasions on her cheek. And she began to tell me the story of how that morning she had left the far southwest corner of the state, and with her 3 little girls, grabbing as much as she could take from the house because her husband was out at work, and she was driving to a domestic violence center in Menominee and Peshtigo area. And so as I'm listening to her story, I'm thinking of the courage this woman has, not only in leaving a difficult situation, but in coming to some stranger for assistance and telling your story. I'm thinking of the pain that she must have been feeling, knowing that she was moving away from home for the safety of her own 3 children. And as I'm listening to her story, I hear God say to me, this is what I want you to do for me today. Took those words that I had said in what I thought was prayer, God, this is what I want you to do for me today, and heard God saying it back. No, Marla, this is what I want you to do for me today. In our gospel story today, we have that amazing sentence that can almost go unnoticed, where as Mary notices that the wine has run out, and she doesn't want the family members to be embarrassed, she doesn't want them to feel less than hospitable, and so she says that great line to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Do whatever Jesus asks of you. Do whatever he says. And that's when the miracle occurs. That is when the water is brought forth, it is turned into wine, the party continues, any embarrassment that the family might have felt, any lack of hospitality that they might have felt is erased by that line. Do whatever he tells you. And friends, that is when the miracles happen in our lives as well. When we listen to that word saying, do whatever God asks of you today. It's the ways that we can do both large and small miracles in the lives of others, but it's the way that we allow God to do miracles in our lives today as well. Because I tell you, as soon as that woman started telling me her story, and I heard God say, this is what I want you to do for me, I changed. I changed in helping her out as much as I could, financially and through listening to her story and making sure that she had the right connections, giving her directions to where she was going. But most importantly, I changed in saying, never again will I look at my day as my own. Never again will I ask God not to put people into my life, but instead I will say, when people enter into my life, what is it you want me to do, Lord? And so, friends, as we listen to this story of the miracle, let us be aware that each day God speaks those words to us. Each day God says to us, please do whatever I ask you to do this day. So again, we might not only be that miracle to others, but that we might allow God to change us, to create those large and small miracles within us as well.